Hi, I'm Marina.
I'm Michelle.
And this is a Flippin Gals Podcast. We like to go to garage and estate sales and look for treasures. We also like to gather people, collectors and resellers alike, and provide them with information about products, many of them vintage, and share information along with other resellers about how to get started and make some extra side money doing what we do. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is a Flippin Gals Podcast, and I'm Marina.
I'm Michelle.
And we have a special guest with us today. Her name is Leslie Tucker. Leslie has a regular live IG sessions on Instagram. She's very active on social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. And she has created a whole community to help support other resellers who are just starting out or have already been in the space for a while. We look at her as a mentor or a coach in reselling, but she's also coached us on business matters, even using technology like this very platform that we're recording on right now, and on various other online selling platforms like Poshmark. So without further ado, please meet Leslie. Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Hey, ladies. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Happy to get to chat with you today.
I know. I'm very excited.
So are we. We've been saving you to be our first one. So thank you so much for saving the time to be our very first interviewee.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, yeah, you hold a little special place in our heart.
You have.
So we do want to get started with the questions that we prepared today. And first off, we just kind of wanted to share with our audience and your audience, like, how did we stumble across each other?
Well, I commented on a post you had of a paper of the moonwalk, and I indicated that was the day that I was born.
I remember that. We're utterly obsessed with, definitely all things vintage, but for some reason, we're really obsessed with the moon and the whole trip of man walking on the moon.
Apollo 11.
Right. And then when you said that, we were just in shock. We're like, what? You're born on that day? You're so special.
Yeah.
What a day.
Indeed I am.
And then we realized we have something in common. We're both resellers. And you actually have helped us a lot through, the journey of starting to sell stuff on Poshmark. And now we're Poshmark ambassador. And you have helped us so much in achieving that status.
Well, it's the same thing. I say the same thing to you that I say it to everyone else, that it's all about community. It's about finding the right community to help and support you on your way. And that's really what it's about for me.
And you're big on community, and we definitely want you to talk a little bit more about that.
Leslie, if you don't mind sharing with our audience, how did you start your business?
This is true story. I started my business because I wanted to just have something in common with my husband. My husband is an Amazon seller. He's a power seller on eBay, and he's retired. So he would be home and I would be working a job, and we would kind of cross paths. So I just made a commitment one day, and I said to him, I want to just start doing what you're doing. And that helped us because now we go sourcing, and, we can get up and have breakfast together and then go sourcing, and he brings me stuff. I help him with things. So that's how I actually got started reselling, because my husband was doing it.
That is so cute. Yeah. That is so awesome. I love that. And that's honestly, that kind of is a little bit similar to how we started. I used to code. When I wasn't working my part-time job, I'd be in a room coding 12 hours a day, and I'd never see Michelle. Wow. And Michelle would be like, hi, I never see you. How's it going in there? And that's kind of how we stumbled across it. Michelle started doing this as a hobby, and I joined her one time, and I got addicted immediately.
I think it's a wonderful thing. Keeps the connection.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. I'm sure you and your husband, you guys have fun together too, doing this while making money.
Well, exactly. And we have two different ways that we go about it. Like, he's big eBayer. And when I started, I felt more comfortable with Poshmark. But now he sells on
Oh,
Poshmark
cool.
as well. So it's pretty cool. And we have children that sell on Poshmark, so it's a wonderful
That is really
thing.
cool. And we do.
Yeah.
And because of you, we do too.
You can never have too many platforms.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you can never have too many ways of making income.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely right.
Agree with that. Our next question that we have for you is what were you doing before you started your business?
Well, my background is in food service. So the last job that I had before I started reselling, I ran a cafeteria. I was a lead lunch lady in a high school cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. And previous to that, I'm a professional baker by trade.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have my own dessert business. I at the same time that I was a lunch lady, I'm a crochet designer.
Wow.
And like very, very big crochet designer.
Wow.
I've designed for a few celebrities and some different things.
Wow.
The year of the Women's March was my year. I made a lot of money that year making the hats.
Oh my goodness. Stuff, so. What you're like a jack of all trades. So it is possible to do many different things.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Okay. So how long have you been doing the reselling now?
I started reselling actually 3 years ago. So April 2016 is when I started reselling. And I only started as a hobby. Like I said, just like to make lunch money for my daughter or to get a coffee at Wawa. And that's no joke. Just because I wanted to do something with my husband, not to make, money, just to do something with him.
Wow.
That was really
And so what made you continue?
I actually really got serious last year. I just started getting stressed at my job, and I turned 49 and I was like, you know what? I'm just ready for something different. So June of last year, so it's only been a year, June, I think the second week in June, whatever the last day of school was, that I walked out of the cafeteria. It was my last day working a job.
Wow. So happy 1 year anniversary coming up.
Well, thank you.
And how did that feel? Making that decision?
It felt really good because I didn't just walk away. I saved. I came up with a plan and I made sure I had money to fall back on before I made the decision to leave my job. And when I knew that I was good, I sent my letter of resignation in August. So from June to August, I kicked butt all summer. And when I knew that my finances would be in place, then I sent my letter of resignation in, and I've never looked back.
So you planned everything out. That's very nice.
Yeah.
And that's something else I admire so much about Leslie is that not only is she in the resale business, but as she just mentioned, she's a past business owner, so she's so business savvy.
Yeah,
I'm so impressed with your business savviness, Leslie.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, thanks for sharing all of your knowledge. It's gold.
Sure.
So how has it been since you doing it as a hobby and then going full time in terms of like the growth of your company? How has it been from maybe from day one in comparison to where you are now? What can you share with us?
So from day one, as I indicated, 2016, it was just straight up hobby. I didn't even source whatever my husband brought to me. I would just say, bring me some female stuff. And I was seriously, now mind you, he's like 12 years older than me. So it was like what he would come in the door with was kind of scary sometimes. And so I would still just load it onto Poshmark. And like I said, my prices were really low. If I made a sell, I was happy. I didn't really mind. But then when I decided to become full time, I said, let me do some other platforms. So I jumped onto eBay, and literally the money that I made from eBay was the funds that allowed me to walk away from my job. And so with eBay, it was a little more fees than I wanted to pay. So I said, let me start really working on Poshmark also, so that I can see what I can do with both. And that's what I did. And then Poshmark outgrew eBay. And so I let eBay go at the end of the year, December 2018, because I didn't want to do fees and stores and all that anymore. And then with Poshmark, it just took off. And that's because I was just really putting in the work. I just sat down and looked at the aesthetic of my closet, decided where I wanted to be, started changing my photos, started making sure my descriptions and everything was good. My prices were comparable to, others. And that's really what happened. It just took off exponentially. Like the growth was just phenomenal.
And and you know what? Like honestly, we were quite discouraged going from like eBay to Poshmark because you don't sell. Well, we didn't sell right away. I don't know if you sold right away, Leslie, when you did it. Okay, so that's like, so if you're just starting out, it's not abnormal if you don't sell right away, right?
Exactly. No, it's not, and that's the world in general. We want things to happen really fast, but sometimes it doesn't happen. You have to really just kind of like take your time. And if you read all the information and follow like all the facts that Poshmark and eBay and whatever platform you're on gives you, then you can do it. And it's the same. I get the same thing that you're saying from people who started on Poshmark. So then they don't know how to do eBay. They don't know how to weigh, they don't know how to do their postage because Poshmark is just like you make your sale and you print your label. But so it's I get the flip side with people too. So it's pretty cool. If you put in the work, you can do it. That's bottom line.
That's and she's saying that with confidence. And then we so you got to believe her. And then we've experienced the same. We went from selling our first item, and we're so happy. And you helped us do that, and thank you so much for that. And now we've sold probably like how many on Poshmark? Like 30 items or
At
so.
Least, 30.
We're super happy about that. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Flippin Gals podcast. Follow us on Instagram at the Flippin Gals, where we do weekly giveaways and shipping is free. And so what would you say, Leslie, are like some of your challenges and obstacles?
The challenges that I have really lead into why I started my community is because I walked away from a job where I was consistently and constantly around people. So I had daily, I could talk to people and have conversation. So then I became a person who was just home, and that really was more challenging than anything else, being lonely, not having anyone who could relate to what I was doing because my ex-coworkers thought I was crazy, They couldn't relate to the fact, well, even when I was selling the cat hats last year, they were like, well, you're doing what? You're crocheting and you're doing what? So there was no business, anything comparable that I could have a conversation with them, but at least we could talk about our kids and stuff like that. So then I was home and it was no one. I have no small children. My youngest daughter is 16. And so I didn't have anything else to do but to sit home and do my business. But that gets lonely. And so in the course of, I just literally sat at my chair. The other obstacle was I got lazy. I gained 40 pounds that I'm just starting to work off. So it was, the challenges were good because they pushed me to work. But that's when I went searching for, social media and people to connect with.
Wow. And you're doing such a great job at that as well. It's amazing how you're really good at building community and you're so approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you have a good amount of followers. And
it's an amazing thing. It's crazy. I started that Instagram as just a personal page way back a year ago. And then when I started doing stuff on it, I just started putting like pictures, and then I started making videos in January because it was really like a journal to myself because I was lonely and I didn't see what I wanted to see out there. Like I was kind of like, okay, it's haul videos. I've seen enough haul videos. Yeah. I want someone to tell me like real stuff. And so then I just started doing my own, and you can't believe I just started in January. That was
so that's you have so much out there. You can literally have a marathon of YouTube.
It's amazing to me. Yeah, it surprises even me. And I'm an introvert. No one believes that, but I am an introvert.
Yeah, no, you definitely come off as an extrovert. You're so good at like what you do, and your presence is so strong and trustworthy, and you're just really great at it. And
and it's awesome that you're sharing that information and knowledge with the community, because this type of information, you can't really find it like online or you don't know where to go. Like even when we started doing this garage sale thing, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to buy. We don't know the strategy. So we need more people like you. And then we're doing the same thing, Flippin Gals, sharing what we have. And just encourage people, right? Like it's not that hard to make money.
And that's the thing. And I love what you're doing. And that's the whole thing. It's like really you're doing what you want to see, and that's what you're supposed to do. And that's why I encourage people to, create a social media presence. You don't have to do this big grand thing. My situation has just kind of grown because people are that they relate to it. That's what it is. And I want to talk to the regular person. I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying. The regular person, that's anybody. I don't care where you are, what walk of life. That's why I don't wear makeup. That's why I don't get too deep into like how I'm looking and everything, because I'm a real person. I'm not going to go and put a whole bunch of makeup on and then get in front of the camera and start talking. I want you to see me, see where I'm at, see what's going on. And that's the same thing what I like about you guys, especially when like you're the estate sales, man. I'm like watching.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Like, oh, you're looking for cameras. What camera are you getting today? So I really follow you as well. I'm a fan. Yes.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, we do that on the weekends. This weekend we didn't do it because I was out at an event. But we regularly do try to do that on the weekends. Show you guys like what it's like to be in it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So thanks for letting us know about that. We'll continue doing it.
Sure. Sure.
All right. So my next question I've been wanting to ask any reseller, and you're going to be the first one to answer this. What has been your highest profit from an item that you've sold?
I probably maybe even sold a coat for like $500 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I sold like a I can't remember the name of the company, a monkey something monkey, and that was a hoodie for like $275. It went for
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
wow.
a
Was
monkey?
it Paul Frank?
Yeah, was it Paul Frank?
No, it was. Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Okay.
I'll probably have to send it to you.
That's amazing.
When I did research,
and
then people started liking it and asking me, and I was like, "Whoa, it blew up!" Like all of a sudden. So that was basically it. I don't have like really high prices. I'm actually restructuring my account to make it like it was back earlier, where I would go to like the outlets and stuff and just have minimal prices. I kind of got carried away and started like looking at other resellers, like looking at brands and trying to do something different, but that didn't work for me. So I'm reverting back to going and getting stuff and only selling it for minimal prices and getting more sales. And
so that's been your strategy.
And that was my strategy, because it was a time, and I don't mind sharing that before I started thinking that I wanted to sell like, big Anthropologie and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just up to me to decide my prices, but I want to price what other people, you know what I'm saying? And so before I started getting crazy, I was bringing home like $1,000 a week.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yes. And that was just, I'm okay with selling something for $20, $25 because I would go, we have 2 Goodwill outlets. I go, you probably see, I go to $2 Tuesdays.
Yes.
But like Goodwill outlet, I got 58 items this week worth over $3,000. And I've sold like a lot of that stuff already. And if you go to the outlet, it costs me $80 for all that stuff.
Wow.
And just 3 items paid for that. So now I can go in with that 58 items and charge $20 if I want to.
Yeah.
And, and if I do find that one thing, and I tell people, it's okay to have a minimum price, but if I find that one thing that I know I can sell for a good amount of money, I'm not going to go crazy and not sell it for that. But it's up to me to decide. So now I'm back. My numbers are growing again.
Wow.
And that just goes to show not everything is for everyone, and not everybody's plan works for you. You have to come up with your own plan and follow it and stick with it. So I'm going back to what I was sticking with and making my money that I was making.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're gonna take that advice as soon as we're done with this podcast as well.
That's great.
And hopefully we'll let you know if that worked for us as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you.
We were actually wondering, what do you love the most about this business?
I love now building a community. That's what I like about it more, because the reselling is cool, because I don't like shopping. People are like, they think that everybody who resells shops. I don't. Remember, I said my husband, I would send him out.
Yeah.
I went through my whole closet. I went through all my shoes, all my girl stuff, the teenagers. And then finally, I had to teach myself how to source, regardless if it was a high end or a low end, because even with my children, I never liked going into the store because it's just too much work, I think, and that's because I'm just laid back. I'd rather put on some, All Stars, a pair of jeans and a t-shirt instead of dressing up. So that's how I feel. I'd rather go
Right.
to Walmart than go to Macy's, you know?
Yes.
So it was hard for me to source.
Mm-hmm.
That was really,
Yeah.
that's the hardest part about it. But everything else is good as far as building the community and meeting people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
hearing people's stories and connecting other people in their states and things like that. That's what I like about it. That's what I like.
Leslie, I'm going to interrupt with one question because you're talking about shopping. Do you
Sure.
usually look for brands or do you look for styles? Like which one comes first?
Well, when I first started, it was styles. It was just like bread and butter brands because I live in a college town. Literally, like I'm at University of Delaware is up the street from my house. So the local Goodwill, you know, college students don't have a lot of money. So whatever they left there is what I would source. And so just the smaller brands. Now, if I find a nice brand, the ones that I hear about, like I was saying before, I will pick them up. And then I also have learned the quality of like the way an item feels, or if it looks different and unique, you know, like, you know, Billabong, to me, that's brand new. And because I didn't know what a Billabong was, you know, I don't know anything about like surfing. That's my whole thing now with the guy stuff that I sell. It's all skateboarding, surfing, all that stuff. Board shorts. That's where my money's coming in now.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, so that's my whole guy brand.
Yeah.
And you know, Vans, that's the stuff that I sell. So it really depends on what it is, you know. The feel, the style. I go for the cute factor, you know.
Interesting. So what is the most rewarding thing you've gained from this experience?
I would definitely say the most rewarding thing, aside the community, would be second, but getting to spend quality time with my husband.
Sweet. That's so sweet. That's so
rewarding.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. And so in which direction do you see the resale industry going, like, let's say within the next 5 years?
It's really hard because even now I feel like it's getting so saturated. It really depends on if people are going to keep things like at a minimal, you know. It's nice wanting to go out and source something for $5 and trying to get like $300 for it. But I think that if you can keep it at a minimum and everybody is on an even board, you know, it'll work out. But it's really hard to say. I think eBay will always be doing its thing because you can sell anything on eBay, but the fashion industry might be more of a challenge. That's just the way I see it. But I think really if you put in the work, you can do it. And I think that I don't know, it's probably going to build up. It may do well just because unfortunately all these other stores are closing. You know, stores you thought would never close. You know, so reselling might be the way to go since the major department stores and all these great places are shutting down.
Yeah, I mean, I always think when I'm driving, like going to garage sale and estate sales, I'm always thinking, I think that there's a part of this that will stay there forever. I do see how it seems to be getting more competitive, but we're new in the game, so we don't really know how it's been in the past. But definitely with social media and everything, you know, and easy access. But I do like we do see like people, you know, passing away or moving, or even us like with Marie Kondo, you know, and that whole fad, like getting rid of our old items. I feel like as long as people just continue to get rid of their old items, and if we keep that culture that we have now of wanting to like save the planet and recycle and not just be so wasteful in our way of living, there may be some, you know, a chance of this to continue for another 5 years.
That's how I grew up. I grew up on secondhand. I raised 5 children on, you know, secondhand, and it's nothing wrong with it. You know, I love it, and I prefer to shop that way anyway. Before I put down a lot of money on anything.
Yeah, we're learning so much from the secondhand thing now that we didn't really know before.
Growing up, I never had that idea. It didn't even cross my mind. I would always go shopping at a store.
Right.
And now we've been exposed to those. Yeah. I'm like
everything,
obsessed now. I don't want to ever go to the store.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? And like what you're doing in terms of vintage, what you ladies are doing is a funny thing, because I joke all the time, like the stuff that I did not like wearing or using when I was younger is coming back again, and it's so popular and it's so expensive. Like when you had the Disney guide in the car, and I was like, people are probably looking back like, like that was Disney in the beginning. But somebody snatched that up, I'm sure, so that is just like really funny, that the newspapers and things like that, like, can you imagine? Like, seriously. You're doing your.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, like when we were holding that Disney map, or what was it, like the guide, I feel like so honored to have that in my hands. Like, well, I have a piece of history just touching my fingers.
Wow.
But like you said, other people, for them, it's probably like, oh yeah, that's just like an old thing that is useless now.
Exactly. But the direction that you're going in is wonderful, because like it is definitely selling because people are buying it. But I love your whole concept of your old newspapers, of you getting cameras. You're on a wonderful path.
Thank you so much.
Great.
So last but not least, what advice would you give to those who are just trying to start out this reselling business?
I would definitely say, really decide what platform you want to sell on, because not every platform is for everyone. If you're in fashion, stick to something fashion and don't let others, sway you in a different direction. That's the first thing. The second thing is create a plan. Really sit down and think about where it is you want to be, and think about your why. So when you get into difficult situations or in a bad place, you come back to your why. And the last thing I would say is find a community that can support you. You have a wonderful family and friends, but they don't always understand. So reach out. That's what social media is for. It's good things about social media. Find you a good community, post and say you need some friends or something like that, and it will happen for you like immediately. And that's what I say. And just keep on going and don't give up, especially if you remember your why.
Yeah,
very cool.
That's very good advice.
Thank you so much for that. Please, everyone, check out Leslie Tucker on all of her social media channels. She's on YouTube would you mind sharing what your handle is on YouTube, Leslie?
Sure. My handle on YouTube is just Leslie Tucker. On Instagram, I just rebranded. I'm a reseller's passion. And that's my podcast as well.
One more thing that we didn't really touch about that you've started recently, like you've recently started just blasting all those podcasts. So please check her out. And where can they find you on a podcast?
Yes. On the podcast, you can find me on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker. I don't know, but I'm on like 10 platforms now. And they're starting to build up. But if you go to the Anchor app, it will show you all the apps that I'm available on. So if you're on Spotify, you'll be able to just click it right on the link. But it's a reseller's passion.
One last thing. You recently started a community that you're kind of leading on Facebook. Is that correct?
Sure. Sure. Yes. And it's also called a reseller's passion. And basically what that community was, I love live on Instagram. And so many people follow me, but I wasn't having a connection. So I created the group so that we can actually talk face to face. We talk via a app called Zoom, which is like a platform, something like FaceTime, but it's set up for businesses, companies, and I can host like 100 people. So every Monday we meet on Zoom face to face. We're in our pajamas and all that, and I do teaching. Everyone talks about their experience, and I have ladies from like all over. So far it's just ladies, guys are welcome too. But that's what it's about. I have topics and we stay on topic. And I also started a VIP group. That is a paid group, but that's like more of a in-depth. I have videos, I have an ebook, shirts and mugs, and we have accountability buddies and that kind of thing. So it's just gotten big that way. And it's all about community. That's really what it's about. More than
awesome. That's very inspiring. We're actually very motivated. We feel motivated just listening to your story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we see people sharing you left and right on Instagram, and people are sending us your videos on Instagram, direct messaging us. We're like, we follow her.
Well, I love you ladies. So if nothing else, everyone listen to
Thank you. Thanks, Leslie.
Watch their videos, watch their lives.
Thank you so much. And thank you for doing this podcast with us. And we're so happy that you're our first interviewee. and we are going to continue to connect with you. Everyone, please just take the time to give Leslie a chance. She's just an amazing mentor and coach. You won't regret it. You're just going to learn so much from her. And she's funny. She's so funny and witty as well. So again, thank you for being our guest today, Leslie.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Like, share, and direct message us during the week if you want to talk to us or even have questions about